I'm not a great fan of Lisa Nandy, and in fact, I've not been a fan of anybody in the digital culture, media, and sport ministry for a very long time. But today I want to talk about the BBC license fee, not from the perspective of ideology or public service virtue, but from the cold pragmatic reality that it's become fundamentally unenforceable. And who has said this? Lisa Nandy. For many years, arguments over the licence fee have circled around prudence. Is it good value? Does it deliver quality programming? Should the public fund investigative journalism, orchestras, Strictly Come Dancing, Doctor Who? But frankly, these debates have missed the deeper, more corrosive issue, the impracticality of enforcing the licence fee at all. The system was designed in a different age. It presupposed two things that no longer hold. One, that television consumption is easy to monitor, and two, that there is a clear social contract and a shared acceptance that the BBC is part of our national life and therefore payment is a civic duty. Neither assumption survives scrutiny today. Lisa Nandy, the Culture Secretary, has finally articulated what has been obvious for some years. Fewer and fewer people are paying the fee. Enforcement is arbitrary and unfair, especially to vulnerable women, and the BBC itself has conceded the point. In 2019, women made up a staggering 74% of convictions for licence fee evasion. By 2020, it was 76%. Not because women are particularly larcenous, but because enforcement practices prey disproportionately on those who most likely answer the door. Even setting that injustice aside, the basic enforcement model, sending threatening letters, dispatching officers to doorsteps, hauling pensioners into court, is absurdly unsustainable. It's the legal equivalent of trying to police Napster with a man in a uniform and a clipboard. Other countries have recognised this reality. Germany, for instance, has linked the broadcasting fee to household taxes, a universal charge collected efficiently with no threats, no charades. We might have done the same. Instead, through a toxic combination of cowardice and complacency, we've asked the wrong questions for 25 years. Greece links it to the electricity bill. And by failing to evolve the model, we are now, by default, drifting towards an open market BBC, competing for subscription and advertising, not because it was openly chosen, but because the licence fee model is collapsing under its own contradictions. This is not necessarily a death knell, but it is a failure of political and institutional foresight. For the record, I think that Lisa Nandy is speaking sense, though she acknowledges the scale of the problem and invites the public to participate in rethinking BBC funding. I think she's absolutely right. I'm less convinced that her proposed outcomes, a sliding fee scale but not general taxation, will survive scrutiny. Sliding scales may look attractive on paper, but without integrating into existing tax structures, they risk introducing yet another labyrinthine journey of bureaucracy and resentment. Meanwhile, the BBC itself does not help its case. It's become in parts arrogantly self-referential. It resists serious complaints about sourcing and credits, as I found to my own cost. It hides behind the bureaucratic obfuscation of Ofcom, knowing the regulator is toothless in matters of detail. The BBC still presumes a loyalty that, frankly, it hasn't earned as universally as it once did. There remains much that is magnificent about the BBC, its commitment to documentary, world-class radio, educational content, and training. But institutions cannot demand loyalty while behaving as though they're unaccountable. And the licence fee, let's face it, the licence fee is dying, not because of some great ideological assault, but because it no longer works. A law that is unenforceable is not a worthwhile law. The people who promoted the fox hunting law must have recognised that by now. If Britain is serious about preserving public service broadcasting, and I believe it should be, then we must confront the awkward truth that sentimentalism is no substitute for practical enforceability. The choice is stark. Either modernise the funding model in a practical, binding way, possibly by integrating it within the existing tax system, by integrating it with electricity, or accept the reality of a market-driven BBC competing in the rougher waters of subscription television, and therefore reducing its bite. There's no middle ground left, and the time for wishful thinking is over.